Hello, it's Philip Taylor speaking from Richmond Green Chambers in London. Today I'm looking at a book from Edward Elgar. It's a very interesting book. It's called Joint Venture Strategies with the subtitle Design, Bargaining and the Law. Now, it's been written by three people and I'm going to have a slight problem pronouncing their names, so I apologise in advance if I get the names wrong. Shinichi Shishido, Munetaka Fakunda and Masato Umatani. Now, I hope I pronounced the names correctly, but these three people have come together and edited an excellent book on joint venture strategies, and I'm going to explain what they are and what the book is about. It's available as a hardback and an ebook from Elgar, and it's on Elgar Online as well. And Elizabeth and I have given the title for our review the following title: An excellent and intelligent exploration of how to assess a joint venture with its inherent risks, because what we're talking about here is risk at the end of the day, and that's what this is really all about. Let's have a look at the book first of all. There it is. This is from Edward Elgar. It's a nice front cover there, and then you've got the spine, and then you've got some detail on the back. There's information there about the online side. It's a hardback. There's a useful quote as well at the top about the book, because when you look at it initially, it's probably something you're probably not quite sure what they're really talking about, but we'll explain that very shortly. There's the index at the back. It's page numbers for the index. Then there are lots of references, which of course are included again at the back. That's the bibliography. And a couple of appendices. And if we go to the front of the book, we've got the front cover, and then we've got, there's the detail about the online side. Then you've got the contents section, and you've got running into 14 chapters in total, and then you've got a couple of appendices and then the references or bibliography. You've also got a preface, and I've taken for my review some parts of the preface which give you an idea of what this book is about and what the purpose of it is. The introduction is structured right at the beginning. You've got paragraph numbering and footnotes, of course. You see the footnotes and then the paragraph numbering there. And then it just runs through all the way through like that. So what is the book about in essence? Well, it's about the following. As the distinguished editors say in this excellent new work from Edward Elgar, although they have the potential to create synergies, joint ventures by their nature contain inherent risk. Therefore, each partner in a joint venture needs to incentivize each other in order to maximise its own payoff. I think you can get the general concept here from that. And it's in addressing the risk element which we feel will be of substantial interest to both academic and professional readers, with what is a thoughtful and scholarly approach adopted throughout the work. I was impressed with it. It's not the easiest work to read, but there again, this is not actually one of the simplest areas to look at in terms of either academic research or practitioner requirements. Writing in the preface, the three editors describe this book for defining synergies as a total return for each partner. That'll interest a few people immediately. The total return that we're talking about here is comprised of three types of payoffs, covering the return on investment, return from transaction, and ancillary return. And the editors view this definition as not only realistic from a practitioner's point of view, but also because it enables an analysis of incentive bargaining in a joint venture from what they term a game theoretic perspective. The sensible conclusion then is that the successful joint venture is where each involved partner is satisfied with his own total return. And one can see the common sense of that position. And of course the authors consider the converse, where a partner is dissatisfied with its total return and can actually present the following result, with the partner's incentive to provide its monetary and human capital to the joint project being lost. Now, the result, sadly, is that the other partner to this endeavour will not obtain sufficient synergies, as they're called, in the long run, and naturally partners will bargain to maximise their own payoff. So you can see that a certain amount of ruthlessness must come in to the equation in order to protect one's own position. Therefore, to say a joint venture is a risky project is a bit of an understatement, because it almost always comes with inbuilt conflicting interests which are well explored here in this book. Unfortunately, many joint ventures, of course, fail, not necessarily as the result of operational management failure, which is actually an incentive bargaining failure. In addition, of course, partners to the venture will confront various trade-offs in incentive bargaining. So the key point, I think, here, and it's set out nicely right at the beginning in the preface, is that successful bargaining strategies are about requiring the maintenance of a good balance between partners' incentives. So I think one can see again a very much of a common sense approach being adopted. The book concludes that extensive pre-contractual and post-contractual bargaining is essential, and the editors provide successful bargaining strategies from the point of view of each partner company, which is probably one of the greatest benefits of the work for readers. The book uses the game theoretical framework, which I referred to earlier, which comes with the analysis of joint venture strategies, where the writers describe practical and legal issues that arise with the creation of synergies and incentive bargaining in the joint venture itself. Now, I've stressed that point because I think that really is the key, the crux of the book itself. There is particular and welcome focus, of course, on intellectual property law, and that includes analysis based on many real cases. And the book also looks at issues relating to creating synergies, corporate law issues of conflicts of interest, and antitrust law issues relating to cooperation between independent companies. So, as I say, it's at a fairly high level of discourse that you come to this particular book, but it's in its own way, it's a very invaluable book. Let me conclude by saying this, that to sum up the work in the words of the editors, the theoretically new and practically useful joint venture strategies, this book, will appeal to both scholars and practicing lawyers, and we agree that from a corporate perspective, this book will be essential for successful joint venture planning and strategy. And it's another example, an excellent example, I think, of a title from Elgar, which we're most grateful to add to our corporate library. And again, Elgar don't disappoint. They do produce a really high quality publication. There's the front, there's the spine, then there's the back. And you can see from this that they've gone into a lot of detail. I'm just looking at the appendix, which in fact the appendix starts, there's quite a lot of room given to at the appendix. It starts on page 208. So you've got basically a good 100, effectively about 100 pages of appendices, and you've got tables which again come in setting out practical measures for balancing autonomy. For instance, that's appendix 1, and appendix 2 is also looking very specifically again at these are the joint ventures reported in the press over the last 15 years. So it gives you some idea of what has happened. Mentions the companies by name, dates, and all the basic data. So there's a lot of information and justification for what's being said. Pre-contract bargaining, always very important, is covered in a chapter 8. So you see, there is a great deal in this book for any corporate lawyer, and I'm sure it will be of great interest to both practitioners and academics. Thank you to the 3 authors. I'm not going to try to mention your names again, I do apologise for that, but thank you to all concerned. This is an excellent book, and I really have enjoyed reading it. Thank you. Bye-bye.